Good morning, everybody. So welcome to day 98 of compassionate response to COVID-19. So what I've been trying to do often with these sessions is kind of just go through some of the topics that are actually kind of important in life, and relate those to Buddhism and what Buddhism has to say about them. And so today the topic is Buddhism and money. And I didn't know I was going to do this topic at 1:30 this morning. It's now 7:30 at UK time. I had no idea what I was going to do, and then I went to bed at 6:10 yesterday evening. Sometimes you just kind of have a day where you think, "Oh, I just give up, go to bed." And I thought sometimes that is a really creative thing to do, So I went to bed at 6:10 in the evening and found myself waking up, but I didn't get to sleep immediately. But I woke up at about 1:30, and then I started kind of just doing things like one thing after another, And so anyway, I've slightly been up since then, really. Yeah, and I think yesterday I was, no, it was the day before, I was down at the gym in the park. There's these outdoor there's outdoor gyms like cross trainer and things like that. And I was like working that, and I just accidentally came across, sometimes on YouTube you just accidentally start playing something. Well, that's what happened, and what accidentally started playing on YouTube was a talk by a business guy in America. What's he called? This guy, Robert Kiyosaki. I think he's got something to do with Trump, Anyway, yeah, and he's written this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he's got some really interesting things to say about business and about people being in employment and people trying to save money and investments and all that sort of thing. And basically, he's kind of saying that. This has been going on for a while now, but it's like, what's the point in working, when you save the money and then you get no interest on it in the bank. And so he's kind of like, he's just making that clearer, that sort of dichotomy between being in business and just being in employment. So I just thought I'd try and look at the Buddhist view in and around money and employment and that sort of thing, and try and make sense of it, and using the Tibetan wheel of life, which has the ashra realm in it, which are they call the Titans or jealous gods. So in the 6 classes of beings that the Tibetan wheel of life covers, these are the kind of equivalents to your kind of big business people and people who are kind of in competition and quite powerful people and all that sort of thing. So so Buddhism has something to say about this in relation to enlightenment, and I think sometimes, I suffer from a bit of an affliction of finding it really hard to ask for payment when I've done something, and it sort of comes a bit out of fear and that conditioning and a childhood conditioning of not wanting to hide a little bit. So in a way, that there are kind of spiritual ways in which being sort of visible and being bold, being being able to be in the world and be fearless in the world, you know. So Amoghasiddhi is the green Buddha, whose name means infallible success, and he's the Buddha of action. And you could say that he's able to be in the world and without fear. You know, his gesture is this. It's like fearlessness gesture, and yeah. So there's something about having energy and having drive and all that sort of thing. Things that people need in business. That can be like a spiritual quality. So yeah, I want to look at that as well. So anyway, I've primed myself now with what I'm going to say, so I feel a bit more energised. So we'll begin with some body work and then some meditation. We'll do the Metta Bhavana or loving kindness meditation this morning, and then we'll get on to the topic of today. Okay, let's begin by just shaking out your ends of your arms, hands, feet. We just do some circles. And the other way around. And then just circling with your shoulders. So bring your shoulders forward and then up and then back and then down and forward again. Just going for some sort of stretch and loosening. Maybe just hold your shoulders up there for a bit. And then just let them go. Hold them up there again. Let go. And just swinging from side to side. So, as always, just putting your thoughts somewhere else while we're just focusing on our body. So I'm just going to exaggerate what you shouldn't do. It's this. It's like, just loose. And then just being patient, just waiting for some sort of effect to begin to happen with your body. Things need their own time. Often our body needs to have plenty of time for things to happen. Depends how fit you are, probably. I didn't really start exercising until I was 40 odd. Okay, and then rotating your hips. So go to the four corners, back, to the side, to the front, to the side, to the back. And take some deeper breaths. Okay, that'll do for today. Take a seat. So if you're going to do the Metta Bhavana this morning, loving kindness meditation, and I will lead us through it. So closing your eyes, being aware of the sensations in your body, allowing your body to just sit there. You don't need to do anything apart from just be aware that it's balanced, so that the weight goes down into the ground, into the chair or cushion. And tuning into how you feel at the moment, and trying to be honest about that with yourself, but also non-judgmental about it. I'm just trying to tune into the feeling of kindness and gentleness, what that's like. So just what is it like when somebody else is gentle and kind with you? Particularly in the way that they are with your just holding or touching your body, it's kind of supportive, maybe holding you. Just try to tune into that feeling, what it's like. And what we're looking to do in the meditation is to keep coming back to that, keep coming back to that same feeling, just having a kindly, gentle attitude towards ourselves. May we be well. The Metta Bhavana. So the thing that we're dealing with here in this meditation is our attitude towards ourself in the first stage. And just looking at that attitude and seeing how it is. Are we rejecting of ourselves? Are we indifferent towards ourselves? Are we supportive and encouraging and kind towards ourselves? Whichever of those three is the truth. All we need to do is just try to move our emotional response to ourselves to be a bit kinder, a bit more caring, a bit more supportive. May we be well. So if we forget what we're doing or get distracted by thoughts, don't worry about that, just start again. Come back to the point of the meditation, just looking at our attitude towards ourselves. And trying to make that a bit more kind, a bit more caring than it is. And it doesn't really work to try and sort of force that to happen. It has to be genuine. So looking for the reasons why we need care, we need kindness. So we're doing the Metta Bhavana, loving kindness meditation. So in the second stage, we bring loving kindness to a good friend. So the thing that we're dealing with in this meditation is our attitude, our emotional attitude towards different people. So this time now we're dealing with our friends. So it's possible that we could feel a bit indifferent towards our friend, or even a bit critical, or we could feel warm and supportive and kind towards our friends. So we're just trying to shift whatever our response is towards being a bit kinder. May they be well. So again, anytime we just get a bit distracted or wander off, get off the point, just don't worry about it, just come back. Cultivating sort of more kindness towards our friend. So now in the third stage, we bring to mind what we call a neutral person. Somebody that is just a person out there in the world. We don't feel strongly for or against them. They're just neutral. And looking at what our emotional reaction is to them at the moment. Our attitude towards them. Is it critical or is it indifferent, or is it kind and warm and appreciative? Whichever it is, try to move it more towards the end of the kindness spectrum. May they be well. So just remembering what gentleness and kindness feels like. You know, when somebody's been gentle or kind towards us, what that was like, what they were doing. I always try to duplicate that action, that attitude. In the fourth stage, Metabhavana, bringing to mind somebody that we have difficulty with. And just looking at our attitude towards them. Are we feeling critical? It's probably quite likely we're feeling critical. Are we feeling indifferent, or are we feeling warmth and kindness towards them? So whichever one is the case, we just need to try and have a little bit more of a kinder attitude towards them. Just trying to see beyond the difficulty that we have to the person there behind that. Just wishing them well. We're not trying to manufacture anything artificially. We're trying to be genuine, authentic, seeing them as a human being who really is always trying to avoid suffering and find happiness. Just remembering what that feeling is like of gentleness and kindness, and having it towards this person as well. May they be well. In the final stage, Metta Bhavana, we bring to mind all four people and try to equalise the sense of kindness, care that we feel towards all four. So having the same kind of gentle, kind approach to each of the people. And then bringing to mind other people, those who live with us or near us. Taking that gentle, that kind attitude out towards them. Imagining that if we met them, that this is how we would be with them. expanding out even further to all the people in our local area. And focusing particularly today on different groups of, rich people and poor people, and people of different races and different genders. People who are employed, people who are in business, people who are unemployed. Other kinds of beings, animals, birds, fish. People in other countries. People who are suffering, people who are doing well. Try to extend out to everybody out there, all beings out there. May they be well, all be well. Okay, so in your own time, just bring that meditation to a close. Alright, so today's task is to try and say something coherent about Buddhism and money. So one of my former guests and friends, Mark Prabhu, he wrote a book called Mindfulness and Money. Anyway, so that if you think back to the time of the Buddha, the Buddha engaged with all sorts of people, as you'd expect, from somebody who kind of invented the metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation. He interacted with everybody really, and in fact he had some quite wealthy followers. There was a wealthy merchant called Anathapindika who laid out an enormous sum of money to buy this land that he then donated to the Buddha for his rainy season retreats. And it's called he was called Anathapindika. And this was Anathapindika's park, which is in Shravasti in India, and I've actually been there, and it's quite. So the Buddha's supposed to have spent like 25 monsoon seasons with his followers there. He lived to be 80, so quite a large proportion of his time after he got enlightened at the age of about 35 was spent in the monsoon in Shravasti. So and that was donated to him by Anathapindika. What else is there in Buddhism? Well, we've got the 5 precepts. So the ethical guidelines are to have acts of loving kindness. That's the first precept. To abstain from taking life, or in a way to doing anything that is life negating. And then the second precept is generosity, to be generous, and the opposite of that is to take the not given. So unless somebody's actually given us something, then we shouldn't take it. And then so that relates to money. The third precept is with stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. So in a way, what this means is to not cause harm through our. So the word is kame in Pali. It's kame sumi chachara. So that literally means to not have a wrong view about, or a wrong way about sense desire, or things that we like, things that we're attracted to in the world, basically, our sense experience. So for instance, if we, you wouldn't have sexual misconduct. You wouldn't allow the fact that you've got sexual desires to actually cause harm. But it's broader than that. So it's everything to do with the senses, really. And then the fourth precept is you've got truthful speech, and the opposite of that is false speech. And then finally you've got mindfulness, and the opposite of that is like intoxication or something. So these 5 precepts are they bring about a skillful result. So skillful action brings happiness into the world for ourselves and others, and unskillful action brings suffering. So it's as simple as that, really. Being kind, being generous, being content, being truthful, and being mindful all bring about happiness for ourselves and others, and their opposites bring about suffering. So in So we're talking about money, and so I introduced Robert Kiyosaki at the beginning. Who's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and as I said, I was looking at this YouTube thing of his, and basically he was saying that he's a businessman, so he was saying that nobody trains us in school. Nobody's trained in school to know about money or to deal with money, or and he said that I think his own dad was a PhD, he was a lecturer, and I think he might have been in economics or something like that. But basically, his main point is that you've got two types of people here. You've got people who are in employment, who save money or try and save money, and then you've got people who are in business and they make investments, and that in a way the two are completely separate. So he said that he learned how to be a businessman through talking to his friend's father, who was a businessman, who was an entrepreneur, and the way that he taught him how to be in business was he just played endless games of Monopoly with him, and he says you can't really learn about how to be in business. You just have to practice it. You have to practice endlessly doing deals, playing Monopoly. And this guy eventually ended up buying all this land in Hawaii and basically doing a deal with the Hyatt hotels, and they built a massive hotel on Waikiki Beach, and he made a fortune like that in that way. But it was all about like Monopoly, really, So it was about you got your 3 greenhouses, and then you get a hotel, that sort of thing. And what came out in his talk was that and what seems to happen with like lots of business people is that they get betrayed. They have endless struggles. People stab them in the back. They go bankrupt, and then they drag themselves back up again. So in a way, well, not in a way, definitely, there's something robust and energetic about that, about being able to stay with an idea and sort of try and bring it. And it's got to work, to bring something to market. It's got to actually work as a product and all that sort of thing. It's got people actually got to want it and stuff. So I think one of the things that the Buddha talks about. So the Buddha. It wasn't actually the Buddha, it was like Buddhists. So this is the Tibetan wheel of life, and basically this symbol will often be at the entrance to a monastery in Tibet, and it represents, so that this is a demon called Yama, the demon of impermanence, and this is almost like he's almost holding a mirror up to us, and it's saying this is what life is like. This is what life is like, and within the wheel of life, you've got in these segments here, these 6 segments. You've got the different classes of beings portrayed. So there are six classes of beings, and in a way you can see this in two ways. You can see it as actual states, So, for instance, the gods. So I mean, people would believed in God. People often have believed in gods, haven't they? And you've got beings in hell. You've got animals. You've got hungry ghosts, which are beings in states of unsatisfied addiction. And then you've got the human realm, and you've got the jealous gods, or the titans. So you can see these as either real states, if you choose to have a kind of more animist view of life, that everything is life is just full of all sorts of spirits and real other types of beings other than humans. So in a way, that would be a little bit more of a humble way of looking at things from a human point of view, not thinking that we're the centre of the universe, or what science and what we know is the end of things, So you could see it like that. So you could see that, you could have a sense of we just don't know, or you could see them as like psychological states. So, for instance, in the God realm, the gods are in sort of perpetual states of happiness and bliss, intense bliss, and it's almost like they're really successful. They're potent. They can bring things about. They can create things successfully, and then the beings in states in hell are in hellish states of mind. They're suffering all the time. Animals are kind of just dictated to by their passions, so they find it hard to sort of like get away from the whole, fear of being eaten or trying to get enough food and not sort of procreate and all that sort of thing. And then the human realm is seen as the place for spiritual practice. And symbolised by the monk with his begging bowl. So in the human realm, you've got pleasure and you've got pain, almost in equal amounts. So it means that you're not overwhelmed by either of them. Everything isn't so pleasurable that you forget about the downside of life, and everything's not so painful that you can't see beyond that. So in not quite sure where I'm going with this actually. I'll just keep going and see where I get to. All right, so the world of business, this guy, Trump, Alan Sugar, these people are in the equivalent of the world of the Titans or the jealous gods. So the jealous gods are characterised by intense competition, and they're quite powerful. And what they're motivated by is almost like their sort of self-image. Have I got to the top yet, or how am I doing in relation to such and such? So we could see this in the world. People kind of getting, even no matter how many billions they've got, then it's not quite enough because what they're motivated by is competition. So I'll just read the passage from this book, Buddhist Vision by Subhuti, Alex Kennedy, which is on the realm of the Titans. Knowing only war, The male Titans live all their days in armour and rest with their weapons beside them, ready for battle. Each of these jealous gods cuts a ferocious figure, towering, thick-set and powerful. His skin a forbidding dark blue or green. His face is horribly ugly, knotted in a mask of fury, with bulging eyes and snarling lips. Here's a picture of an Ashura. Again and again, in serried ranks, these giants rush upon the gods of the sensuous realm. So these are the gods that are in happy states, and try to grab from them their happiness and delight. They try to capture the heavenly tree, which fulfills all wishes, and in their foolish envy, they begin to hack it down. But the gods rout them, and they fall back in disarray. They immediately start to fight amongst themselves, each trying to gain for himself greater power in the ordered hierarchy of their armies. The Titanesses, the female Titans, are one of the principal causes of dissension among the menfolk. They are no less jealous and acquisitive, but they win their wars not by force of arms but by enchantment. For each Titaness is as voluptuous and bewitching as any film starlet, and knows how to captivate and charm her chosen victim. Like the sirens, Lorelei and Lamia, she destroys those who fall into her power. The inhabitants of this world seem to be descended, mythologically speaking, from one group of those gods who took part in the battle for heavenly supremacy recorded in the legends of Greece, Iran and India. For this reason I call them by their Greek name, although they should not be equated too closely with Atlas, Prometheus and Hyperion, etc. They are variously referred to as anti-gods, jealous gods or angry gods, for they are godlike in their power and vigour, although not at all in happiness and pleasure, since they are driven by the misery of envy. Their longing to possess does not come from desire or greed, like the hungry ghost, the ad states of addiction. They want things because they begrudge others whatever possessions, achievements or qualities they may have. The success of others makes them feel belittled, for their self-sense rests upon feeling themselves to be the centre of the universe, like a babe in arms. Whatever others gain they cannot have, and this deprivation fills them with fury. The deep discontent which others' good fortune breeds in them leads them to struggle vigorously, even violently, to grab it for themselves. In the myth, they make war on the lower gods for possession of the wish-fulfilling tree, which instantly grants all desires. The gods have gained this wondrous tree as a result of their good deeds done in the past. The jealous gods want to seize it without having laid the foundations for its enjoyment. Thus they try to cut it down to carry it off, severing the fruits of the tree from the roots that nourish them, killing the goose that lays the golden egg. So, in each of the realms in the Wheel of Life, the Buddha appears, and he's doing something. So in the for instance, in the animal realm, he's got a book. So what the thing that animals need to do next, in a way, is to kind of lift their eyes up from the struggle for existence and have a bit more of a cultured existence or something like that. So in a way, to move towards being a bit more human and cultured. And in the gods realm, the Buddha's playing a lute. So he's playing the Song of Impermanence. So what the gods need is, they're so successful and everything, but they need to remember that things are impermanent and that eventually even their long-lasting happy states will come to an end. But the Titans, or jealous gods, what the Buddha's holding there is the sword of wisdom. So here we have, this is a sword of wisdom. This is a Tibetan version, so you've got a Vajra on this end here, and it's a flaming sword. So what this represents is wisdom. So what the Buddha is brings to the Titans, to the business people, to the people in intense competition, is a sword, you know. So they all have swords. They're all in battle with each other. What he brings is a flaming sword. So flame represents transformation. So in a way, maybe what this sword does is it manages to cut away what isn't helpful and leave what is helpful, leave what is transformative. So maybe what's helpful in the world of the Titans is their vigor and determination and energy, you know, and maybe even like organization. You know, maybe they're very good at, like generals, at organizing themselves, organizing their armies, organising the worlds. But what's not helpful is the fact that what they're doing is it's orientated towards building up their own kind of ego or their own sense of worth or something, you know. Coming back to Robert Kiyosaki, and this separation between employed people who save, you know, so lots of people just rely on being employed and then they save the money and they try and work things that way. But the way things are working, the way that the business people, the money people have organised everything now, is that your savings don't bring you any interest, you know. So there's a kind of rift developed between the people people in business, people in money and investments, and your ordinary people in employment. And it's almost like the business thing is just taken off on its own as a means to itself, really, a means for itself. So it's like, you know, having Apple, you know, share price at, you know, or market value is like $2 trillion or something now. It's almost the same as the UK. So something like that. So it's like, you know, is this serving humanity over here? You know, the ordinary people in employment who actually think that they're saving for the future, and yeah. But at the same time, I mean, there's something kind of powerful and sort of helpful in that kind of Ashura energy, you know, that it manages to get things done. You know, and you know, we have like the Amoga Siddhi, the Green Buddha, whose name means infallible success, and he's the Buddha of action. So it's like, yeah, we can't. The problem I think on the employed side is that people can just be a bit passive or something, you know, just expect themselves to be kind of like looked after, you know, by the business people. So, and then, so you know, and that can be a sort of that can be unskillful as well, you know, a sort of passive expectation that if I do my job, then I'll just get looked after. So, you know, in a way, the Buddha's sword is there for everybody, and you know, things come to an end. Things are impermanent. You know, stock market goes up, goes down. You know, we have a job, we lose a job. You know, and in a way, what the Buddha talks about in terms of lifestyle, he talks about something called samar jiva, which means right livelihood, and it's like, so you know, if you read books on Buddhism, they often talk about, oh yeah, well, not working in a slaughterhouse, or you know, not working in jobs that cause a lot of harm and things like that. But the general principle is that whatever you're doing somehow is supportive in your work livelihood, and your life in general is like supportive to the general good, you know, the general happiness. So so it's like somehow, you know, coming back to Buddhism and money, it's like we need to you know, money needs to be something that we're not afraid of. You know, we're not afraid of accepting, or we're not, you know. But it also needs to be something that that flows, and that actually flows in the direction of everybody's well-being, but also is guided by the precepts in a way, you know, so that is this bringing about happiness? Is generosity, you know, is this helping generosity? Is this helping mindfulness? So, you know, if we're not really being mindful of the planet and the resources in the world, and we're gonna cause suffering, so in terms of like sort of social organisation, I think in Tree Ratna, what we used to have a lot of, but we don't have so much now, but maybe it'll come back, is what we call team-based right livelihood businesses. So these are ways in which the businesses, so it's like they're trying to actually do a real job in the world, but they're team-based, and they're based in Buddhist ethics. So in a way, they're small enough to sort of serve the people in them, you know, in terms of employment and things, but also to serve the community. So people would work in a right livelihood on low income, but the profits would go to supporting a Buddhist centre being set up or something like that. And this used to be called the nucleus of a new society. This was back in the 1980s in Tree Ratna, in what used to be called Friends of the Western Buddhist Order. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where things are going to go in the near future. It doesn't look all that kind of promising, really, does it? But you know, maybe there needs to be a bit more of a smaller scale thing happening, you know, where we start to, like, you know, feel more empowered and actually work with awareness on a kind of smaller level, more kind of community orientated, cooperating with each other, seeing what we actually need rather than, you know, what advertising tells us what we need. And yeah. I don't know where that's gone really. I think it's gone somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, something about kind of taking responsibility, but also being aware of others, of others beyond ourselves. So yeah, feeding ourselves and feeding the world. That's it for today, I think. Oh, Jai Devi, you're still here. I'm doing my best to come up with topics. Yeah. Any final thoughts? Yeah, I'd like to do some fundraising for some equipment. I want to get some a kind of a way in which I can actually have the sound better when I'm doing meditations. So I'd like to fundraise for that. Which I will do on this site, and I've also kind of invested in a webcam and things. So, and I need to get the videos put onto YouTube. I need to pay for that. So I'll be putting a link up on the website, and hopefully get some money coming in. So this is me being part of a community. I'm contributing the work, putting the videos on, and then it'd be great if you could contribute the costs of that. So then we're all part of the same thing. Okay. All right then. Thanks, Emma. See you tomorrow.